What's up, guys? Welcome to the Guild Wars 2 sPVP update. I'm Sireph Abreu, and I'm joined by three magnificent men here. Go ahead and introduce yourselves. First, we got Shawn. Shawn, go ahead.
How's it going, guys?
Oh, that's Shawn Android Buell. And we also got Kenigmatic Crowl, and Mr. John Blu Mullen the third.
What's up?
guys? How's everything tonight?
It's aight.
Alright. Alright. Awkward intros aside here. Let's get to pretty much everything here. So today we've come together to talk about stuff that's going on in the sPVP realm here. And so Shawn, let's kick us off. We've got the patch that has just come in. I think it was like the 8th or the 7th.
The 6th.
The 6th. Wow,
August 6th patch.
The August 6th patch that came in, and of course, this is the patch that introduced solo queue, and has brought a lot of life back to sPVP. So, how have your solo queue adventures gone so far? Because I know all of us have sort of been writing.
I'm pretty good right now. I think I'm 21 and 18, so maybe not doing as well as some of those top players. Like Folly's like 16 and 1, and Mila Storm was like 13 and 0 at some. He's finally lost some games. But yeah, there's people with some crazy win-loss ratios right now. I'm about like 55%, and I'm pretty happy with that. Overall, I'm loving it. I love solo queue. I normally used to play a lot, like 3 a.m. on Pacific, and then I just go against all of the Asian pre-mades, Australian pre-mades at that time, and I just get wrecked. So I really like that I have a good chance, like 55% win ratio. I'm happy with that. So yeah, I'm actually really enjoying solo queue so far.
What about you, Ken? Can I know you're like high up on the leaderboard still?
Alright, so when solo queue came out, my whole goal was to get really high on the leaderboards and then just stop playing, so I could tell all the other people, like ASP and other stuff, like all the other programs, to be like, I'm like the best because I have the highest ratio, and I've been gloating about it for a while. I'm just waiting for like the decay to kick in, and then I'm just last on leaderboards. I'm like, God, now I'm gonna have to play this game again.
And Blue, I know that you were doing you were streaming yours. You streamed Ranger, didn't you?
Yeah, well,
Ranger.
I streamed a few things because I'm sort of doing like a purge-esque thing from Dota now with my channel doing games. There, shut up. And I've started doing that now too. So I'm playing a bunch of different stuff. So unlike you two, I don't really care much for my ranking or ratio with it, but I'm using it.
Yeah, my story with it unfortunately has not been so good. I ran into so many leaver groups. It was one where I was like the only one in the group still in the game, and I 1v5. Of course, that I didn't break like 10 points, I think. So that was terrible. But still keeping on. I don't know. I think I prefer doing pre-mades. I like playing with my friends and you guys.
Yeah, no. Pre-mades are great, but it's really good for when your friends aren't on or your team's not on, and you need an outlet to play. I also think it's going to be awesome for streams. You know, a lot of teams really don't want to stream some of their strategies that they'll use in like tPvP. They don't want people to have like recordings of them playing. But solo queue, I mean, that's a great place to one, test stuff out, and two, you're running by yourself. You know, so it's really great to show off your personal skill, I think, which is going to be awesome for people to stream, and we've seen some success already. You know, of course, Teldo, but Symbolic solo queue stream has been really great so far. Osterjags has been fantastic with his solo queue stream, and there's been some other good ones as well.
Yeah, you were streaming the other day, Shawn. You got like 6
years.
I was.
Yeah, dude, 6 years.
6.
I'm famous, man.
Getting up there, man.
Yeah.
Like, what do you guys feel about just like the amount of like people playing like Ranger or Guardian, or like I know Ellie was doing well, right?
So sorry to kind of keep talking, but I feel like right now the two strongest classes are definitely Spirit Ranger and Necromancer. But I mean, those are two strongest classes overall in the game right now. I feel. Oh, and Engineer actually might be above Necromancer as far as solo queue right now, just because they can do so many things. It's like, one, those classes are really easy. Besides Engineer's definitely got a higher skill cap. they're really easy to do well with. You can hold points, you can do damage, you can support the team. And so it lets you kind of overall fill all the roles. They're easy to play and they're very effective. But at the same time, in solo queue right now, whereas in team queue, you don't really see Ellies, you don't really see Mesmers, you don't see, Warriors, you don't see that in solo queue either. But in solo queue, Ellies are doing really good. You know, Fanaram was like number 4. Euro was playing an Ellie. We had some other Blinks was doing really well on Ellie. So it's kind of cool. Zeus is back playing Ellie in solo queue. So it's cool to see those classes that aren't doing so well in team meta do really good in solo queue. So.
Yeah. Ken and Blue, you guys both ran Rangers, right? I know Ken, you made.
Oh yeah. I main Rangers, so I won't say it felt like cheating. Like when you the cool thing, well, I won't. Now everyone's laughing. The cool thing about meta switches within reason is if you are familiar with a particular class and the meta shifts in your favor, you could pick up that class a lot easier than, say, Mesmer. I tried to play Mesmer, and I play it every now and again. I don't want to say it's difficult, but it's not intuitive for me. So when I pick up Ranger and everyone says, like, hey, you know, this particular build's really viable, I can pick it up, and with seconds, I can figure out how it's supposed to operate within reason.
Right.
There's a particular level when I do pick it up. I'm not going to reach at maximum efficiency with that build, but the cool thing about meta shifts is that it lets people come back to a game and use their intuition to actually perform better than what they would have a few months prior. So
yeah, absolutely. No, I
that's
totally
why I
feel the
liked
same
it.
way. Yeah, that's why like when I main Guardian when I first came into the competitive scene, and like I can easily pick that up no matter how many games I've lost straight in a row trying to play Necromancer. So, so Blue, what has your experience been so far using different builds, using different classes?
So I've been trying to experiment, and like we were talking about the Ranger a minute ago, definitely looking at the Ranger right now, definitely one of the stronger picks to go into a solo queue with, just because of a few reasons. And I think this is why we're seeing it a lot too in solo queue. Like, I got a game the other day in solo queue. Our whole team is 5 Rangers, and we won pretty badly too. And I think the reason we're seeing that build so much, especially the Spirit Ranger build specifically, is just because of the fact that A, it's really easy to pick up the basics of it, and then from there expand upon the more advanced tactics of it. And B, it's really easy to carry team fights, and in addition, be a pretty nice side point bunker as well through that, because of just the passives and how well you can chain an active in a 1v1 too on a side point of those spirits.
And that's not just because it's really good in solo queue. Overall, I think everyone can agree that Spirit Ranger is kind of broke right now. I think it's by far the strongest class, because you're a Connie class that can burst for like 7k if you time your spirits with like your pets, right? So,
well, that plus you
yeah.
have the like undying bunker abilities of the class as well, and you can res yourself. Can't forget that. Like
3 times,
yeah.
I think, if you train it right.
Well, alright, so you can get three reses off while it's still alive. But those are AoE reses. In team fights, you could effectively res 15 people. I mean, that's very, very rarely going to happen where your team wipes 3 times. Like, your team's probably pretty bad and you're going to lose if that happens. But effectively, yeah, you can res like 15 people with one use, like pretty much because you can res 3 times and it's AoE. So it's really strong.
I think a good change to it to be, because there's an issue with it as well, where I'm not entirely sure which interrupts work on it and which don't, but the Spirit is interruptible, and the animation is, except for the traded one where when it dies it procs, you can't interrupt that one obviously, but the Spirit's active itself is interruptible, but not interruptible by every single interrupt. And the animation's pretty obvious too if you're watching it. It's not like it's some very
he stomps the ground.
hand or something.
He raises his hand and then goes bam, and it takes like 2 to 3 seconds for it to go off. So if it was made interruptible by every single type of interrupt, I don't think it would be too much of an issue anymore. Because most people with interrupts would be able to counter it.
I think it only res one person too. I think the fact that it's an AoE res is insane.
The problem with that is that how would it figure who to res, like res specifically? Because then you have to rely on AI
probably by
or within proximity. Maybe, but then
could be targeted.
Be a combination.
The problem with that is that you're limiting that particular elite to a really niche portion of understanding the game. So you'd have to like bank on the fact that the person that is most successful for team fights that you absolutely need say you and the person is down at the same time and you use it, but you're lower health, you come back up and the person dies. So you don't have that choice of tactics. You can't. So when you do that, it makes it really limited, and that could actually shift that elite to be garbage. And then you'd see.
Well, another thing that's broken about that elite right now is the amount of healing it does.
And the con declare.
Yeah.
400 like heals per second AoE is insane. Even if you don't res anyone, just the sheer amount of healing that thing does in a fight if it's not killed, which people are getting a lot better at killing and interrupting it. It's insane. Especially, you see a lot of teams running double Spirit Ranger, and then you're like, oh, try it with 2 of those out, man. Trying to kill them is insane because they're healing each other too. It's absolutely insane.
Yeah, I think that what's going on?
The spirits as well just are annoying to more people that are like direct damage projectile classes, like anyone that runs a projectile class in their build too, because the spiritual serve is cannon fodder for anyone that uses projectiles too. And if you have 2 of those in your team, you unless you have piercing on your projectiles, which I don't think a lot of people have actually get access to that unless with a trading 20-30 points deep in, those things are just going to completely null you out there until they're gone.
Yeah.
God. Yeah. Well, probably move on to the topic.
Yeah, we should.
We weren't even we're gonna talk about balance and stuff like that. But.
Yeah, let's move on to other things that got patched in with solo queue. We have map rotations for both team tournaments and solo queue. The team rotation is the standard 3 plus Spirit, plus Temple, and then they add Skyhammer and Spirit Watch to that for solo queue, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
So thoughts on the map rotations, guys?
I like all the maps. Of course, Skyhammers. It can be pretty niche depending on your team comp. The fact that it's not only Skyhammer, I think, is good because people don't go into it with the Skyhammer build. If you have multiple characters and have a character that's good for Skyhammer, I guess. You're set, but
well, I mean,
I
go ahead.
If I can go, I don't mind it being in there because first of all, sometimes you want to play solo queue a little bit competitively. Sometimes you're playing it to have a little fun. I think having Skyhammer in there is a nice mix up after you've been playing 3 to 4 games and you're getting like, let's say you get Foe Fire all 4 times, and then now you get Skyhammer. Well, I've been sucking butt playing Foe Fire the last 4 times. Let's have some fun on this map and knock people off the map. Let's play whack-a-mole for like 10 minutes. And I think it's a nice mix-up to that, and I think it should stay.
Yeah,
right out with the opinion on that.
I definitely like it. I think having the cannon be dodgeable would just be a little better, in my opinion.
Oh yeah.
If you look at Kylo, you have the trebuchet, and not only does it actually require skill to shoot, I mean, not much more skill. Right? You don't just click and shoot. But it's dodgeable. The Skyhammer, you click where you want it to go. Yeah, I mean, you can, sometimes have to lead. But if you click right on a point, and it's such a big area, they have to get off that point. They can't dodge it, or, they have to use an invulnerability, which, stops you from actually capturing the point or holding the point. I don't know. I think it being dodgeable is necessary.
I agree. I mean, like, my thoughts on Skyhammer kind of remain unchanged from that one weekend where it was just like the only tournament map. I had so much fun just running control only Guardian on that, and I think everyone else does too. Just knocking people off that map is so insanely like satisfying that it deserves a better chance than it did. Like everyone kind of did rage about it. But Ken, what was your experience so far with Skyhammer?
Go ahead, Ken.
Well, all right. So I like Skyhammer, but not in a serious way. So I think what could benefit the solo queue format a lot is that you get 1 veto, and that 1 veto could be for Skyhammer or not Skyhammer. So it sounds really like cheeky and really crappy of me to say that, but you have to figure that Skyhammer is a lot different compared to all the other competitive maps in the fact that the secondary mechanic is more of a thing that's really static. You can't avoid it. There's always going to be that one person that finds it open and usable, and they will use that. Trebuchet, however, we have to decide whether or not it's beneficial or not. Skyhammer's too big. Like the cannon, like the radius of the cannon is way too big. for it to not be used. Plus, the inability to dodge the cannon also makes it like it's going to be used definitely. So, I love Skyhammer to death. Like, it's just so fun. And if you run like CC on it, you're going to do really well, and you're going to have a crap ton of fun. The problem with that is that goes against the current meta, and unless they switch the meta to where CC is viable on all maps, Skyhammer doesn't really have a place in any competitive play, and the people that want to play competitively in solo queue are going to be a little upset that it's even in the map pool at all. So you're going to have to differentiate whether or not you can have these particular maps or these particular maps, or you're just going to have to make it so that way the meta is viable for everything, which is what they've wanted to do since day one, but that's really difficult. So,
Shawn, you had something to say?
Yeah, I forgot.
All right. Yeah. I don't know. I agree totally about the dodging things, but I think we should totally move on because there's other things going on with the map rotation. I think I agree about the map vetoes. By the way, thoughts on map vetoes? I think honestly,
It'd be cool, but that's gonna be probably something harder to implement.
Yeah. Maybe. Like, I don't know the systems that they use, and I don't know how like terribly archaic and problematic the coding would be, but I think that adding just a simple rudimentary veto mechanic would probably take a weekend. I would say optimistically, like
the issue is that they have their own engine, so anything that doesn't exist already has to be made completely from scratch by them.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
because they don't have an architecture to work off of because it's not a widely used engine.
True.
Yeah, that's true. Also, other things to do with the map rotation in solo queue is that faux fire, for some reason, there's an interesting loading screen bug where if you die, or like sometimes even off the spawn, you'll get stuck in the loading screen.
So I really don't. My opinion on this is just disable it until it's fixed.
It is. It is actually.
Oh, it's disabled
Really?
finally?
Yeah. It's been. Yeah, it was taken out yesterday. Actually, they took it out of both rotations.
Cool.
But
Then-
this was there before too.
Really?
Like
Yeah.
it's November, December, I think. It was both patches for both those months. The bug was far worse though, because the bug would actually force you to relaunch the game entirely because it just wouldn't reload you back in. And when I first got it, I was like, oh god, not this again. Thankfully, it was a lesser version of it, but it's still like impeding to the actual competitive aspect of it. And now, for any tournaments that'll come up, like right now with the ESL one, we're considering possibly removing it until it's fixed, but we'll get to that later. And so this is something that they gotta move quickly to fix, so it doesn't impede with any tournaments that'll be coming up over here. Because it adds like 10 seconds or more, depending on how fast your hard drive or whatever the bug is being caused by it, or whatever thing is processing and tech stuff. And until that's fixed, it's breaking the map completely, and that's why they obviously removed it from the rotation.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I was just saying, like, I was just agreeing. Like, it wasn't like a dissenting nod. Like, yeah, I totally disagree with Blue. But I mean, it sounds like really, I guess, silly. Like, oh, it only adds 10 seconds. But you figure a game where the maximum time that you can play is 15 minutes per match, and you know, depending on, I'm trying to think if it's tournament play or not. That's individual or wave.
It's all individual.
It's all individual, but still, that would tack on considerably depending on who has a better player.
There was actually a game I jumped into through the authorized shoutcaster program. I jumped into an EU game on stream the other day, and every time a team fight ended, a 3-cap would follow because of that bug.
Oh,
Really?
Like it literally throughout the course of that match, there was three caps that flipped back and forth because 3 or more people died. And they had like 25-second respawn timers because of that bug. So obviously, it's not a huge thing because it's been removed. So they're obviously in the process of fixing it. But the question is, how fast will they fix it? Because tournaments are coming up, and we need that map.
No, we definitely know for sure that they know about it. Like we've talked. Like,
well, if it's disabled, then you know right there, and they reformed. Right. It's just, I mean, there's not much we can do about it. That's future the map, just disable it right away, try and get it fixed as fast as possible, and then get it back in and working. I guess that's really all we can talk about that.
Yeah,
When,
man.
when
Well,
this
I
bug
mean,
when the bug existed in the past, it was like because they got on it pretty quickly, but this time it's different. So, but like the last times it was happening, they usually had it fixed within like 3 to 4 days. But this time it's different. So hopefully, again, it'll only take like 3 to 4 days to get it fixed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
right. And the thing that worries me a little bit is that if this is the second time it's happened, like, what other maps are susceptible to this? Like, will the other maps that are being used currently going to be stable, or are we going to see this kind of problem pop up later on?
Well, we haven't seen it on any other map yet, so I mean.
Right, but the potential's still there, and that's
yeah,
the issue.
that is true. So keep an eye out, guys. Let us know if you have any problems with any other maps. So we gotta move on to the UI permanent finishers, as well as being added to the UI, and the fact that you can join solo queue and tournament queue from pretty much anywhere now, guys. Which is it's fun.
I'll jump in here.
Yeah, man.
I think that's cool because it was for some PvE players and possibly some World v World players, it was like an inconvenience. Like, I gotta go all the way to the mist, and I gotta sit here the whole time. I gotta talk to these people over here. Now you can go about your business, doing your daily, your crafting daily, do whatever you're doing, solo roam World v World for a bit, and then while you're waiting, hey, let me open the PvP menu. Now I can jump into a solo arena while I'm waiting. And then when I'm done, I think this might be bugged because I don't know if I read the forums correctly, but it is well now. After you're done with the PvP mask, it doesn't send you to the mist anymore. It sends you back to where you were previously. But that might be bugged. So
It's supposed to do that.
Yeah.
it's supposed to do that though.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought there was a bug that would just send you to the mist after you were done.
Yeah, so that was the bug. I think it sends you back now. And you could also, like, there's that little arrow on your screen that says, like, leave the current match and return to your previous location. So before it takes you back to the mist, you know, when the game ends, you can just hit that button and get out of there that way.
Gotcha.
One thing that I did run into, though, is that in the solo queue, I queued as my guardian, and it wouldn't let me into the game until I swapped characters to my elementalist, which was like...
Yeah, I had that problem last night. I queued up on my ranger, and then my queue popped, and it's like, you need to be on the right character. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
I had to know my ranger, and so I earlier in the day I was on my engineer. It's like, maybe I have to go on my engineer, just to fix it. And yeah, I went on my engineer, and I had to play on my engineer, even though I hadn't been on it for about an hour. I was not on it any time when I queued, so that was weird.
Was this for solo queue?
Yeah, solo queue.
Solo queue.
So character locking is bugged then to assume that.
Yep.
Obviously.
Well, I don't really like the
didn't know
idea
about
of I don't really like the idea of character locking in solo queue because it limits you a lot. So you have to decide whether or not you're going to have your build set to support your team, which you don't know if they're going to be good or not, or what kind of builds they're going to be running.
So I think the way it's supposed to work is it's only supposed to lock once the game starts. So even in the beginning, you get in, you see what your comp is, you're supposed to be able to switch, I believe, and it's not supposed to lock you until the game actually starts.
And actually,
Okay,
I
then
have
that's
done
fine.
that. I've done exactly what you described, like going in. Like, it was a game on Skyhammer. I was playing by NG, and I was like, no, I'm gonna play my Guardian and knock people off this map. And so I was able to transfer within like the first 30 seconds. But for some reason, this other map where I was trying to queue with my Guardian and get in there, it was like, no, you're not allowed to use this this character. Please switch to the character you queued as, which was really weird for me. But, so let's move on to what's up.
I was just saying, hopefully that gets fixed.
Absolutely. Honestly, I even dropped a line. I dropped a support ticket for that. So, you don't forget. You guys can probably do that in game as well. But permanent finishers are now a thing. If you get a permanent finisher or just a finisher of pretty much any kind, they stack up in a sort of wallet type thing, and you can buy the Wump, the giant finisher, the cow finisher, the phantasm finisher. It's a ninja. It's like a shadowy ninja dude. Spectre. And then the binding the roots.
Stranglethorn.
Yep, Stranglethorn.
And they're awesome, man. I actually thought before I was like, dude, seriously, finishers, I don't care anything about this, but I actually do enjoy them. Spectre and the Giant are both awesome, and it's so much more convenient now that you don't have to, like, all right, equip it for an hour, and then after that hour's up, you equip it again, you just turn it on, and you're good to go until you switch it.
To offer an opinion from a business perspective, this as well, I think, might help NCSoft to possibly see the value in Guild Wars 2 PvP now, because, like, hey, we could make money off these finishers, so maybe...
Well, between that and the last two sets of Armored, both the Aether Blade and as well as the second set they released recently, I'm sure those helped a ton too, because personally I bought all of them.
And as well,
everything though.
Yeah.
And as well, I think it entices World v World players to maybe come over a little bit to get their rank up in PvP a little bit. So like, hey, maybe I can get because like, but to be completely honest, World v World finishing actually doesn't happen that often because Zergs are so big, no one usually ever gets actually finished. But it doesn't entice World v World players maybe a little bit more to come in and get that cooler looking rank 30 finisher over the rank 20 finisher, so on and so forth, etc., etc.
Right. Can you use any of the? What's your favorite permanent finisher that you've seen?
All right. I really want to use the snowman one, but I only have the temporary one. So I just want to like bring Christmas into town. Like, bring everybody down the chimney.
Claus.
4 more months.
Just 4 more months is coming through. Yes. Gonna use that. Is it Rogaine that changes the color of beards?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just like
white. Probably bleach.
Just for men.
No, because then it would just be blonde. Like screw it. I'll just like get shaving cream and just put it on, like not take it off.
Just like
something really
just make it solidify. Get that like that construction workers foam and just put it on your face. You know.
Yeah. The problem with that is I'll just get even more white.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
So my personal favorite for the permanent finishers is the cow. And just dropping a cow doesn't get old on someone.
It's very funny.
Like it's the greatest thing because it falls on its butt and it just sits there and just like, well, shit. Oh. All right. So I think we should probably wrap up solo queue with the topic of queue times. Queue times have been something that have been kind of brought up. People are having like really uneven queue time. Sometimes you'll queue up and immediately have it pop. Sometimes you'll wait for like 10 minutes, which is I mean, it's not.
I think they've gotten a lot better. Like the first day, team queues were terrible because everyone was solo queuing. I think we're at a point where it's like got a pretty good split, and we're seeing team queues happening within like 2 to 3 minutes, and solo queue is happening usually like 1 to 2 minutes.
So I think as well. So go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying. I think they're in a good. I think they're in a good spot right now.
And to offer for those of you suffering from that, from what's probably going on from the design side of that, if you're higher ranked, you're going to have longer queue times because there's less people, especially if you're playing at like 4 or 5 a.m. Because you're higher ranked, and the system is going to try to rank you with someone who is higher ranked. So if it can't find those high ranked people, it's going to drop down a tier, look at people lower tier. Can't find anyone there, keep going down, and then it's obviously going to take you more time, especially in the team queue now because there's a lot less people playing that. So it is going to take you a lot more time if you're a higher ranked team to find you a match in the team queue now, mainly because small community for the time being. But hopefully that changes with time.
Yeah.
I think that I agree with Sean. I also agree with Lou. I don't think there's much else to be said there. It has gotten tremendously better since the days since the 6th. And, yeah. So let's move on. Next topic of discussion here is Mistpedia, something that we've all dumped hours upon hours of our time on. The 4 of us, kind of the driving force, especially Ken, who is like literally poured his life force into the cup that is Mistpedia. But for those of you guys who don't know, check out Mistpedia.net. It is the Wikipedia, the Liquipedia, the Leaguepedia of Guild Wars 2, and Sean, why don't you go off and tell us how people can get involved?
Awesome. So yeah, to go in, it's not just a Wikipedia of all Guild Wars 2. It's on the competitive scene. So you have news, you have tournaments, you have teams, you have players, builds. So it's really good for everything sPVP in Guild Wars 2. Anyone is free to help to update it, to add new content, to edit content. All you have to do is just click in the top right and create an account. Once you do that, you do have to go and add an email, make sure it's all verified. Once that's done, you are good to help edit content, create content. So it's actually really nice. It might take some time to get used to the format if you're not used to it. But yeah, it's definitely going to require a lot of community work. There's a lot of content that needs to be covered. You know, every time a tournament happens or news happens, I mean, this is a daily thing. But we're actually really excited for it. We're hoping that it can really help to improve and promote the scene as far as competitive sPVP goes.
Yeah, man. Ken, why don't you give us some behind-the-scenes scoop of just what sort of black magic you did to sort of come up with the code and the design of the site?
So what you do is you got to get like pig's blood, and you draw a pentagram, and that's 5 stars, not 4. And you have to use candles, but not regular candles. They have to be like pumpkin scented, like. But no, seriously.
Yankee Candle.
A lot of it, yeah. A lot of it was so there's this format called MediaWiki, and that's free to use by anybody. It's the same kind of stuff that Wikipedia uses, the official one that everybody cares about. And what you do is you implement that onto a site, and you change some rudimentary things that are just very front end kind of stuff. So you change the look of it, you change the formatting, you add extensions to make it perform certain things, so that way it'll like work better and more efficiently and stuff like that. So a lot of it is just me staring at this monitor and hating life, which these guys can honestly attest to, because it usually boiled down to I come home from work 40 hours a week and I just complain while I work about the job, and then I go to the job and I complain about what I do at home for 40 hours, and then it just keeps rotating. So I always have something to talk about at least.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Oh man. So I mean, for those of us who don't know what's sort of going on, go ahead and jump over to Mistpedia.net right now. It's a great site. You'll give us some great traffic. But let's see. I think I lost all you guys. Nope. We're just lagging. Did we lose you? Uh-oh. Let's check this out. Oh god, we have a problem with the call. I think Shawn dropped out. We'll get right back in this in just a few seconds, guys.